Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Rocks. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make the sunshine square. You may remember that just recently I made a sunshine hexagon. One of my subscribers asked how we could make it into a square, so I figured I would do that and let you see how it's done. So I made it also in one solid colour just to see what it would look like. I used larger hook, which obviously makes it a bit on the bigger side, but I quite like it done all in one colour. That's actually quite nice. But I'm going to show you how to do this exactly the same as this one here. Now I've used a slightly larger hook this time. It's still a Susan Bates because I'm trialling them, but it is a 4.5, and the reason being I used a 4 with the hexagon, but the shape of a hexagon kind of makes it larger, whereas a square would come up smaller. So I'm going to do a 4.5. You also need a pair of scissors, a darning needle, which I don't have, just moved my book and pen over there. So I'm using scrap yarns, and this is all DK weight. It's all just bits I've left over from various projects, exactly the same yarn that I used for the hexagon. So I'm going to start off with this paler lemon. If I can find the end. I think I've rolled it up a little bit too well. There it is. So it's just making the centre of the sunshine, which is this part here, and it's made with a magic loop, which is very simple. You just make a ring, put your hook through it and bring the yarn through, and basically you're done. So I'm just going to make that hole a bit smaller, and then I'm going to chain 2 to get me up to the correct height for my stitch. And if you just want to pull that tighter so that it's not quite so big, then that's fine, as long as you don't make it too small. So now for that centerpiece we need 12 treble crochet, which is a UK term. It's a double crochet in the US, and those 2 chain count as our first, so I need to do 11 more, and I'll show you slowly how to do a couple. We yarn over, go into the center of the ring, yarn over and pull up a loop, so we have 3 on our hook. We yarn over and we pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. I'll show you again. I'll zoom in just a smidge so that you can see. Yarn over into the center of the ring, yarn over and pull up a loop. We have 3, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that is a treble crochet in the UK, or a double crochet in the US, and I just need a total of 11 of those plus the 2 chain, making 12 altogether. So I'm going to speed up and get on with making my 11 of these, and I'm going to pause the video now because I'm going to be counting and I don't want to put anybody off. So if I've gone far past you, then just by all means, if you need to go back and see how that's done again, then do so. But I do have some stitch tutorials for those stitches if you do need them. So I'm going to pause the video and I'll catch up with you when we get back to the start. Okay, so I've done all of mine, and now I need to just slip stitch into the top of my 2 chain. There's the first one and there's the second one. So just insert my hook, yarn over and pull through both. And I'm going to end off that colour. Where did I put the scissors? There they are. Let's just chop that off, and I'm going to move this one out of the way. And now I'm going to just completely end off with this colour. So that's just a chain, pull it down and then pull the yarn through it. So now we have our ring, and we can get hold of this tail and pull it so that it's closed. Now it may unravel a little bit and come undone as you're working, because it does, until you've completely sewn this down and secured it. So I'm going to work over most of my tails, but obviously got to leave this one so that we can sew that in. Now I'm going to join my next colour, which is this darker yellow, and this is now going to be making the rays of the sun. So if you can imagine a child drawing a sunshine, and these are the little rays that are coming out. So that's what we're going to be making next. And I'm going to do it on the opposite side of this tail so that I only work over one of them at a time. So I insert my hook. I do need to get a bit of yarn out and find the end. It's here somewhere. Oh, getting tangled. There it is. Okay, so because I'm joining this one with as a treble crochet, how I normally do that, because I've got 2 chains to do to get up to the height, the first one I just bring a loop through and I do a chain using both my tail and my working yarn, and then I drop that one, and then my second chain I just go through. So that's how I always join if I'm joining with a treble crochet. But if I'm joining with a smaller stitch, then I don't do it that way because I don't want 2 loops on the hook. So now with this part here, we've got our ray, but we need a gap. So I'm going to do 1 more chain, and then in each stitch along, I'm going to work over this tail as well. So I'm just going to hold that there. I'm going to do a treble crochet, or double in the US, in every single stitch. Just move that tail down, getting in the way, and 1 chain. So into the next one, and 1 chain, and I'm going to go in each one all the way around. So we're doubling our stitch count in this round, but we still will only have 12 of these UK trebles or US doubles, because the other stitch is the chain. So when we get to this point, we need to be a little careful, because sometimes it can look a little bit different. So I've gone into that one, and how to make sure I keep my stitch count is I count them now: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if this is my next one here, that would be 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I know that is my next stitch. So I'm just going to drop that tail now and work in this one. So that's my next stitch. Doesn't hurt to just stop and count, just to make sure that you're going into the right one. You don't want too many or too few when you get to the end. Just pull a bit more yarn. Almost round. And when we get to the end, we shall end with 1 chain, and I'm going to end this colour. So I'm going to just be careful now as well. You've got 2 chain, and that one there is your gap. So this is the top of your second chain up, and that's the one that we want to slip stitch into. So just go in and bring your yarn through, again ending off that colour, same way as before, and then just pull it around a little bit. So there we are. We've still got our centre one. Then these ones, I'm going to get rid of them as we go. If I were doing this for a project, I would sew them back through the other way and be a bit more secure. But because this is just a little tutorial, I just want to get rid of them so they're out of the way and don't confuse everybody. So now when I've been making this, I've noticed that because this yarn here is slightly rougher than the rest, it's a little bit more sturdy, you know, if you know what I mean, it's stiffer. It makes it pucker just a little bit. Now I've got one that's a very similar colour that's softer, but I like the colour of this one, so I'm going to keep with it, but it will make it pucker just a little bit, but that does give after a little while anyway, so it's not such a problem. Plus when you're making this for yourself, you will probably be using all the same type of yarn in any case. These are just ones that I've got hanging around. So now we're going to join at any of our gaps. So we're going in here. Now because I'm not joining for a treble crochet, I'm going to join it in a different way, because I only want one loop on my hook. So I normally just go in and make a little, just do a little one knot, bring it over this side, and then I just secure it so it's there kind of at the end of my segment, for want of a better word. So then I put my hook in and I bring my yarn up and do a chain. So there I am, I'm now ready. So we're going to do a cluster, which is treble 5 together or double together for US. And how we do that, I'll show you nice and slowly for a couple of these. We yarn over, go into the gap, yarn over and pull up, and yarn over, pull through 2. So that's the first part. Yarn over, go back in, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through 2. So we've done 2. Well, we've started a treble for 2 of them. Yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull up, and go through 2. That's 3. Again, that's 4. And this is the 5th one. This is our last one. So we pull through 2. Now here we are. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 loops on our hook, because we've got 5 from the trebles and 1 that we started with. Now we're going to yarn over and we're going to pull through all of those, and we're going to secure it with a chain, and that's what it will look like, a bit of it like a petal. So we're going to do one more chain because we need to get over to the next one, and I'm going to work over the tail again. So I'm going to yarn over into that stitch, yarn over, pull up, go through 2, yarn over into there and pull up a loop, go through 2. Again, this is the 3rd time, and again for a 4th time, and the last one for the 5th time. Yarn over, pull through all of them, secure it, and another chain. Now we're going to do that all the way around in every single gap, and I'm going to work over this tail as well when I get round to that side. This stitch actually does use a fair bit of yarn, so make sure if you're using scrap that you've got enough. So I'm just going to do another one with you. And there we have it. So we're just going to keep going all the way around. So I'm going to pause the video because you don't really need to see me do lots of those. If you get confused at all, then just rewind a little bit and recap on how to do those. So I'm going to pause it now, and I will catch up with you when I get back to this point here. Right, so I've made it all the way round, and we're just now going to slip stitch into this one. Careful not to catch any of the loops, and end off that colour and secure it down. So this is what I mean. It does tend to kind of cup around, but all we need to do is really kind of pull it out, and the next rounds as well will sort it out. So it will lay flat eventually, but I think part of the reason is that this yarn is a lot stiffer than the rest. So in the previous tutorial I showed you with a lighter coloured yarn and using different colour, but this time I'm going to stick with the darker because it does look nicer. Just going to move those out of the way. So here is my darker yarn. This has got a really kind of lovely ultraviolet tone to it, and I really wish I could get some more of it because it's lovely. But we're going to join this to any of our chain spaces, and so I'm going to do it over here, and I'm just going to join it with a little knot like I did before, because this is again it's going to be just a small stitch, so it's going to be a double crochet in the UK or a single in the US. So we're going to insert and pull up the loop and make a chain. Now I'm going to make sure I do 3 of those double crochets in each loop. So that's in, pull up a loop, so you've got 2 on the hook, yarn over, pull through both, back in, pull up a loop, pull it around and go through both. Just move that over, that was putting me off. So go in, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and through both. So we're going to do 3 in each one of these segments. Now because the top of this is quite pinched together, you don't need a chain between or anything. It's quite close to it, and you're going to do 3 in any case. So don't do them tight, but not ultra loose, just nice really, but don't do them very, very tight because you want it to space out all the way around. So that's what we're doing. We're just doing 3 in each. I'll zoom in and just show you that again for those beginners. So it's in, yarn up like that, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through, go back in. So we've got 3. Now I'm going to pause the video and I want you to do 3 in each one of these segments in between them, and when we get to this one, start working over that yarn as well, and I'm going to meet up with you when I get back to the start here. Right, so I'm all the way around, and now all I need to do is slip stitch, and because it's darker yarn I will zoom in. We just slip stitch into our first stitch there, and that's it, we've joined. Now we don't need to end off because the second of these rounds is also in this same colour. So I'm quite zoomed in, and hopefully everything will be fine. If I'm going to try and keep it zoomed in for you, but if I have problems I'll zoom out. I sometimes go off camera a little bit if it's too zoomed. So I'm going to chain 2, and that will count as my first treble crochet. Remember, the treble is a UK term, it's a double in the US. So that's in this stitch here, which we've just joined to. So in this next stitch I'm going to do 2 treble crochets. So that's 1 and 2, one chain, and another 2 in exactly the same stitch. And this is how we're going to do all of our corners. It will always be the same, and then in the next stitch, 1 treble crochet, and that's how we make the corner. So we do 1 on its own, and then we do 2, 1 chain 2 in the same stitch, and then we do 1 on its own next to it. And that's our corner, every single corner. So our sides, let me just pull out some yarn. Our sides are all going to be exactly the same. I will zoom out a little bit and hopefully that'll be fine. We're going to do half trebles in the next 6 stitches, and a half treble is a UK term, it's a half double in the US. So we yarn over, we go into that next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. We have 3 on our hook, just like when we have a treble, but with this we will go yarn over and pull through all 3. First one's always more tricky because it's higher up. So the second one is just the same, 3 on a hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. So we're going to do a total of 6. This is my 5th. And then we're back to our corner. And our corner starts with 1 treble crochet on its own, and then our little cluster of 2 and 1 chain and another 2 in that same stitch, and then 1 in the stitch next to it. And now we're going to do 6 half trebles or half doubles. This is my 6th. If you lose count, don't worry, just stop and count them. So now we're back to the corner, 1 on its own, then the cluster of 2, 1 chain and 2, all in the same stitch, and then the 1 on its own in the next stitch. Now we're back to our 6 treble crochets, sorry, half trebles. So that is helping to turn our circle, as you can see, into a square. So it makes a nice flat edge, and then we've got our first corner here, and now we've come back down to this one. So I'm on the next straight edge, and that's all we've got to do. Our corners are always the same. We have 6 half trebles or half doubles in the US all the way along the side, and I think this one was number 5. I'll just check. Yep. Now I'm on a corner, so 1 on its own. Now my cluster. If I'm going too fast, then obviously just pause the video and catch up with me. But I wanted to stay with you on this round as much as possible, rather than pause it. So now I'm on the last straight. It should just be 6 half trebles. And then we just need to secure this into our top of our 2 chain. And now we do cut this yarn off and pull it out. So that is now our square. And as I say, this does, because this is sturdy yarn, it does pucker just a little bit. Let me just get that colour and move it out the way. I absolutely love this mauve yarn, purple yarn, it's beautiful, it's really soft. So now just going to bring in the white and give it all round the outside a nice little white, oops, a daisy, dropped it, a nice little white border. Of course you can use whatever colour you want, but it just, I think the white, because it's so kind of white and crisp, it does give it a nice look. So I'm just going to join it to any corner at all. So I'm going to do this one, and because they are another row, I'll zoom out a little bit, because they're another row of small stitches, I'm just going to tie it on. Of course you can, if you have a special way that you like to join it, then just do that, but this is mine, well, one of them. Depends what the mood I'm in, I guess. So every single corner now, we're going to do 3 double crochet UK term, which is a single crochet in the US. So it's just in, yarn over, up rather, and pull through 2. So into the hole, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're going to do that in every single corner. And then once we've done that, we need to pull it aside a little bit, because this one gets a little bit hidden. I'll try and show you, zoom in a little bit if I can. Whoopsie, there we are. My hook back in, move my tail. So this one here sometimes gets a little bit hidden, so we need to just make sure that we go into that one as well, because we do want it to stay so it doesn't pull or pucker anymore. It should be fine if you've got the same yarn or you've got softer yarn, but just that one there is slightly kind of rougher than the rest. I wouldn't say it was thicker to look at, it's just not as drapey, not as soft. but that's just me stash busting. I could have used that other red, that other pink, but it wasn't quite as bright, so it didn't look as nice. So it's just one in every single stitch all the way along until we're back at the corner again, and we do 3 in our corner. And now you can see it's covering that stitch up. Just pull it aside and there it is. And we'll make sure we go in there. And then we're going to go in each one again all the way along. All the way to the corner. I think I'm definitely going to have to try and make a blanket with some of these granny squares that I've done recently. There's so many of them that I really like. This season of the granny has inspired me to come up with some granny squares that, you know, really are worthy of a blanket, I think. That one didn't cover it so much, so we can see it. So it's just going in it all the way around. So I've done half. So I'm going to pause the video then, and I'm going to go along here in every stitch, 3 in that corner, and along here, and I'm going to meet up with you when I get back to my start. Okay, so I'm all the way to the end, and I just need now to slip stitch into my first stitch and end that colour, that white one off, and I leave a nice long tail to sew in. So cinch that down, and then just pull it into shape a little bit and get rid of some of these ends that I have worked over. That one's annoying me there. And for turnover, I can get rid of that one, not that one, otherwise we will unravel a little bit. I'll show you how to sew that in a second. So I'll move all those out of the way. As I say, if I was making a proper project, I would sew them in the other way just to secure them a bit more. But with this here, I didn't miss one. That was my OCD. I don't really have OCD, but it was making me a little. So just pull that tighter, and I get my needle and just thread this up. And what I normally do is I will either make up, didn't go through, there we are. I will either make a little knot, and I'll show you how I normally do that. So I'm making sure it's all nice and tight. I will just go over a couple of stitches, and I will go back through it. Once that's a very small loop, see that? A very small loop. I'll go through it, pull it down. So that's kind of made a little knot, and then I'll just sew that in and hide it. Where am I? There we are. It was all looking a little bit merged into one, so I'll sew that in there, pull that in. Remember, this is the back, so it doesn't really look, that's where it's come out, it doesn't really look as very, you can't really see it that well anyway. It's not visible knot. That's it, should be enough. So that's sewn in quite enough, I think. Won't come out. And just end that off, and then just bury this one. See, I think it's pretty. So if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, and you'll be informed when there are new videos. And if you could please like and share this video, as with all mine, if you watch them, it helps me quite a bit if you do, to help me grow this channel. So when I'm sewing this one in, because of this little knot here, I go to the side of it and I come downwards, and then I just pull that so the knot disappears, and then I go backwards and forwards through these corner stitches. It's very tight, and it will go along a little bit, making sure it's not come out that way. Can't see any silver, so that's fine, and I'll just sew it along there. And because when I'm making a a project, I will go back the other way, at least one way. Sometimes I do it twice, just to get rid of that and to secure it. So that's how I secure my ends, normally speaking. Very rolly. Stay up there. And that's it. So there we are. There we are. All done. And now I've got 3. So I actually could start a little project with them now. Just keep going. Perhaps I'll make a little Dolly's baby blanket for my granddaughter with them, unless I can think of something else. So thank you very much for watching, and until next time everyone, bye for now.